Proof is a 1991 released Australian drama directed by Jocelyn Moorhouse.
It's about a blind photographer.
It is.
If there is such a thing.
Yes.
Called Martin. He's played by Hugo Weaving. We see flashbacks of him as a child with his mother. From what's said in the scenes, we get the sense that he never really trusted what she was telling him.
Yeah.
And as the viewer, you kind of side with him at first, that she treated him quite badly. Therefore, as an adult, he kind of has sort of trust issues, and therefore he takes photos, even though he can't see them, and then asks people to describe what's in them, and then he will make a braille label, and then he knows what he's seen is real or something like that. It's all a bit strange, but he has a housekeeper called Cecilia. They have a very strange relationship in that when we first meet her, he doesn't know that she's there in the house, and he's come in from the rain, he's all wet, he's starting to get undressed until she makes a noise, and then he realises that she's there. So immediately kind of like, okay, what's going on with these two? And she'll move furniture and things like that around his house.
When she leaves, she puts something in the doorway. You know he'll trip over. And
so they kind of just treat each other like crap.
Pretty much, There's a bit kind of permissive, submissive. It's that kind of relationship going on.
So he clearly doesn't trust her. She doesn't seem... Well, we then learn that she's kind of infatuated with him, and he doesn't reciprocate this.
No.
Mainly because, first of all, he has trust issues, obviously, and mummy issues, and he thinks that as soon as he lets her in, she'll then feel pity for him, and that's the last thing he wants. He doesn't want anyone to pity him for being blind. So then he meets Andy, who's played by Russell Crowe, and he works in a restaurant. They sort of form a friendship over a cat.
Yes.
It looks very dead, and then suddenly it's not. He then asks him to describe the photos that he's taken, and he likes his sort of honest, direct, simple descriptions. And they sort of bond over that. But then Geneviève gets a little bit jealous of this sort of newfound friendship and sort of sets out to sabotage it effectively. Yeah, so it's basically sort of an interesting dynamic between these three, interspersed with scenes of Martin's past that give you a little insight into why he's the way he is. So yeah.
Yes.
There you go.
Nicely described there.
Thanks.
Yeah. We haven't done an Australian one for a while.
No.
I'm a big fan of Australian cinema. Although interesting watching it again. I hadn't watched it for a couple of years, this one, and I watched it tonight, actually, before we filmed. I won't mention which one it was, but we were going to do another Australian film, which we haven't yet gotten around to doing. You watched it before Christmas. Yeah. You were talking about that one in not such favourable way, because you said the characters in that are not very likeable. And I was actually thinking about what you said in that, because in this, some of the characters aren't very likeable. And going back through the many Australian films I've seen, there are a lot of times where the characters aren't... And I'm not having a go at Australia. I've never been to Australia. I'm certainly not having a go at Australians. But it seems to happen a lot, that there seem to be quite a few films about not very likeable characters. Although I like them, I like the characters themselves, and I enjoy, maybe not so much for you in that other film, but I find them interesting, odd characters that appear in these films. And you do have, this is kind of it's actually labelled as a romantic comedy, romantic drama. Sorry, it's not really a romance film. I would say it's more a psychosexual drama.
Yeah,
because there's a lot of playing with emotions and playing with people's lives in that way. But then on the flip side of it, it's very funny too, and it's got some really great stuff. And I think again the performances are great. Russell Crowe and Hugo Weaving. And two very early performances from those two, who have obviously gone on to have huge careers in America. And Russell Crowe, I suppose, the biggest career out of the two of them. But Hugo Weaving really turned up in The Matrix, wasn't it? That's where we first got to see
That's
him.
when, I think when it's sort of, outside of Australia, people sort of knew who he was.
Mr. Smith.
Yeah. And obviously he was in the Lord of the Rings movies, and Viva Vendetta, Captain America. So he's been in lots of stuff since. But until The Matrix, I think outside of Australia wasn't that well known. Was he in Neighbours at any point?
I don't know. I don't think he was. No. And Russell Crowe obviously had a small...
Was he in Home and Away?
No, I think he was in Neighbours. I think he cropped up in Neighbours around the same time as when Guy Pearce was in it.
Oh, right.
Because, of course, then they both ended up in LA Confidential together in the mid-90s. And I think they'd... obviously all these Australian actors know each other anyway.
Do they?
Not all of them. No, but I think, obviously... Well... some of them turned up in the soaps, Home and Away and Neighbours. Yeah. But I think a lot of these guys have obviously, there's a lot of stage actors, they've done lots on stage, and then obviously their own. Australia has this huge film industry. There's some great films that have come out of Australia, over the last 30, 40 years. And a lot of really, really great stuff. And because they're so far away, it's almost become lost to the rest of the world. There's obviously the ones you'll pick up because you'll know the actors that have gone on to America. There's obviously another one we've spoken about is Ben Mendelsohn. You know, he's now gone on. He's now doing having a huge career in America. But he had a massive career back in Australia in the 90s. He had so many films, but many of them you probably never would have heard of. It's definitely worth going out and seeking out some Australian cinema if you don't know them, because they do some really interesting stuff out there. And this is one of them. I really like this film. I think the relationships between everyone is really interesting.
Absolutely.
And, it's not a particularly original idea. They're quite picky to each other, and they probably shouldn't be in a relationship ever. So you kind of got this love triangle going on in a way. This kind of psychosexual drama. That's nothing new, but what's new about it is just the kind of idea around it. This blind man who likes photography. I think I was kind of attracted to it because when I first saw it, I was actually working within photography. I was working for a photographic library, and so I was looking at lots of photographs. And some of the lines in there I really like. There's a really great moment when Russell Crowe looks at he's in Hugo Weaving's house. And he looks up and there's a photograph on the mantelpiece, and he kind of notices it because he says, "Oh, it's an old photograph. It's a photograph of your mum." And he's like, "How did you know it's old?" And he's like, "Well, it looks old. She's wearing old clothes, and it's black and white." And it's interesting how you can look. And at that time, one of the things I had to do was I had to look at old photographs, and sometimes we'd have to work out when they were from.
Yeah.
We didn't have any information on them. You just had to look at the photograph and kind of get where it was from. And one of the things you would do is you'd look at what people were wearing. You can usually tell. Cars are quite a good one to look at. You can tell kind of roughly when the photograph was taken by the clothes they're wearing. So from that side of it, I think if you're into photography, you really like this film. And memory, of course, is another thing that comes up. You know, a really good film. Great cinema always talks about memories, and this. There's a lot of that in
I say there's maybe a little bit hint of Memento, because obviously he has massive trust issues in that because he can't remember anything. So a little bit of an element of that, but obviously that's more of a sort of mystery, sort of crime drama sort of thing. Whereas this is more of a.
It's a bit. I suppose Memento is a little bit more. Probably couldn't happen.
Yeah.
But this is possibly could happen. I mean, although you say blind photographer. I'm sure that it's not like a million miles away from someone who's blind could definitely take photographs, and I'm sure they do. That's why makes it quite an interesting premise, I think, and this whole having the photographs described back to them, which is really nice. And I think Russell Crowe plays that, so he's not a simple man, but he's quite a gentle person. He's maybe a bit naive to the world, and then you've got these two quite domineering characters that come into his own world. And change things up a notch. I mean, I think those two together are really funny. I was reading just before we started filming, because they play friends in it. So Russell Crowe wanted to become Hugo Weaving's friend. So he thought, what bless, exactly, method actor maybe, I don't know. And he wanted to find something that they have in common. Nothing, apart from the fact that they both like Doctor Who. That's the only thing they had in common. They're great together, and they're both obviously great actors. There's a very funny scene when they go to a drive-in movie, because he asks him, have you ever had a moving image described to you? He's like, no, I don't like crowds. He doesn't like being in people. And I've got the perfect idea. So he takes him to a drive-in where obviously you're in a car. It's a hilarious scene where Russell Crowe goes off to buy some snacks, and so he's in the car by himself, and there's a car that's pulled up next to them, some punks. And he starts feeling around, and obviously that he's blind, but they don't know that. And there's a shot from their kind of point of view, and he's staring at them, and it's really, really funny. And then he pulls up these condoms as well, and the guy's like, "The hell?" And that's just a great scene. And also there's a bit of a fact there. So that character, the actor is Daniel Pollock. Who turned up as the co-star with Russell Crowe in Romper Stomper.
Oh right, okay.
So he's the other skinhead in that film, who sadly died. Actually, he took his own life just before Romper Stomper came out. Oh. But that's him in that scene, and that scene is hilarious. I forgot how funny that was. And he's just with Hugo, he's just staring. Because he's not looking at him. He's feeling around.
He's got sunglasses on.
And he's got sunglasses on as well. So he's feeling around in things in the car. But he looks like he's staring at this guy,
straight at him,
and it's a very funny scene. There's some nice comic moments in there, and I think that's kind of ultimately why I like Australian cinema. They're very humoured
It's
people. I think
sort
they
of black comedy, really. Isn't
black
it?
comedy, yeah. But I think a lot of these guys, that Australians, they seem to understand the human spirit quite well. I think.
Yeah, I think that just the dynamic between those three. I wanted to know what was going to happen, where it was going to go, who was going to lie to who, and things like that. It was just where sort of Martin and Cecilia were going to end up, how their relationship was going to develop over the because it was such a poor state at the start of the film. You think, well, why does she stick around when he treats her like crap, and why doesn't he fire her because she's so horrible to him?
Yeah.
It was just like, I don't understand. But obviously as the film progresses, you learn more about his past and why he's the way he is, and then obviously you learn a bit more about her and why she does stick around. So I found it was good. I enjoyed it.
So it was made by Jocelyn Moorhouse, she's done a few things. She made a film a few years ago, which I think was quite successful, called The Dressmaker. It's Kate Winslet was in. And that was made in Australia. But she's also, she produced Muriel's Wedding.
Yeah, I mean, that had a couple of actors from Proof in it as well. Geneviève Picot and also Heather Mitchell, who played Martin's mother, were also in Muriel's Wedding as well.
Yeah, so it's a good film. I enjoy it. I recommend you check it out. I have it on DVD. I have it on, I think Film 4 distributed in this country. It's the classic Film 4 red packaging.
So whether they ever show it on Film 4, you never know, they might do. Whether they still have the rights, who knows? Because I guess that DVD was a few years ago.
Exactly. There's nothing on here apart from the film.
No extras, no.
So it's not that long, 86 minutes. It's quite short. So if you can, I would suggest, if you can track it down. Is there a Blu-ray of it?
There's no Blu-rays that I could find. There is a Region 1 DVD from the US which has a couple of commentaries and also like Martin's photo album as well. So I guess, because obviously a lot of photos are taken for the purposes of the film and you see quite a few of them, but I guess, there must be stills of those photos.
Yeah.
So you can enjoy them at your leisure. That's the US release. There is obviously an Australian release as well, but that loses one of the commentaries that's on the US disc, which has a commentary with Hugo Weaving and a commentary with Jocelyn Moorhouse.
Okay.
But I think it loses the Jocelyn Moorhouse one for whatever reason. So, if you could play Region 1, then the Region 1 will be the one to go for, I guess, because it's got the most extras.
Great, and if you watched our video last week, you might even have it on...
Well, there you go, you can also, obviously, get it on the German 3D Blu-ray of The Last Countdown.
Final Countdown.
Final Countdown, sorry.
Yeah, if you've no idea what we're talking about, go back and watch the Final Countdown from last week, and if you want, go to the end and you'll find out what on earth we're talking about there, which I still can't believe.
It's an obvious companion film for, a film that features a time-travelling aircraft carrier.
Obviously, it is.
Obvious pairing, I don't know why you're so surprised.
Yeah, probably the most bizarre double bill in all history ever. I literally cannot see any
You can't, any what connection?
Any connection whatsoever.
You can't see one because there isn't one.
Nothing, unless there's like.
It says Crazy Germans.
Maybe there's a runner on it.
I don't know.
Who appears in both.
Possibly.
No.
I don't know. They were both filmed on film. There you go. They were both shown in cinemas.
Yeah.
They both have humans in them acting.
Yeah.
There you go. There's some connections there.
Yeah. Germans. Love you, but you're mad. So that was Proof, and as always, if you enjoyed the video, let us know in the comments below.
Hit the subscribe button up there and don't forget to hit the bell for notifications. There's some other videos to check out over there. And come and find us on Twitter, Facebook and Instagram. And join us next week for another video.